All right, welcome back, Mr. Cander's Knife Channel. This is the follow-up to the follow-up. It's been 1 month since I've had this Para 3 with the Spy27 steel. Now, when I got this knife, it's been a little bit over a month, but when I got this knife, I knew nothing about the steel. It's taken me a little while to get used to. This steel has some quirks. It's interesting. But we'll get into that in a minute. First off, great knife. I think every knife that I've got will eventually have its own use. There's some knives that I use for some things, some knives that I use for others. This one right here, you know, I mainly started off using it as a gardening knife, but I've also started taking it running with me. Now, before I was using the Spyderco Salt or Salt 1, something like that. I've had it for so long. It was in the high vis yellow. Pretty cool knife, but you know, its uses were limited. You know, it was full serration. I probably should have brought it out here for you, but anyway, I know, like on some of my Instagram videos, you can see it. I've got it next to a pair of running shoes and a headband, so I think it's pretty obvious which one I'm referring to if you're not familiar with that particular knife. Now this knife right here, I think it's lighter. It doesn't have the full serration, obviously, and so I think other than cutting rope or something like that, I think this knife might have a little bit more use. I guess a wider range of uses. Now, cutting ropes, hands down, I think serrated edges are going to win every time. But just a general purpose knife, this one, this Para 3 and this particular steel, it's a great choice. A couple of things about the steel now. I believe it's a satin finish, but unlike most, this satin finish to me is a bit different. It's it kind of tends to stain, you know. Most knives, you know, you can just kind of wipe them off, and you know, fingerprints will come off, and you know, just general smudges. This thing likes to hold on to smudges. I mean, you got to break out the alcohol and cotton balls sometimes to get some of these smudges off of this knife. It's the weirdest thing. You know, a couple of times I was thinking there was some oxidation. You know, I was thinking that, oh crap, man, this thing sure does oxidize easily, and you know, kind of like almost like a carbon steel. But then I would use it. You know, one example is I had a stain on there, and I wasn't really too worried about it. So I'd taken it in the yard, and I had some sunflowers, and there was some were ready to come up and harvest, and I may have planted them a bit close. Like I tried to pull one up, and it started pulling up a pepper plant that was right next to it. So I took this knife, and you know, just cut the roots at ground, you know, under the ground level. And so, to my surprise, when I took the knife out, the stains were gone. So the thing kind of, I don't know, it kind of buffed itself out in the dirt. You know, you would think it'd be worse, but it ended up coming out looking pristine. Now I have used this knife pretty hard. You can get a little close up there. I mean, it still has a satin finish, but you will see a few scratches on there, and that's fine. Especially consider how I use this thing. You know, other than stabbing it into the ground. I mean, we're here in Texas, so you know, cliche. You know, there's sticks in there. I've got I use the kind of the back to Eden method of gardening, where you're putting wood chips on the top layer of the soil, and so I was cutting through wood chips and dirt, and then the roots when I was using this knife. So a couple of the minor scratches came from that. Now that's nothing. I can take a little piece of fine grit sandpaper and buff that out. I actually used this one on my wedding ring here, I was lifting rocks and things like that, and it kind of scratched it up. So I just just took my little I think this is 3000 grit, and buffed out my my wedding ring. I can do the exact same thing with this knife, but it's not really that important. It was the smudges were throwing me off, because that was the weirdest thing. I keep my little microfiber rags or whatever, and it usually takes that right off. But man, this thing, fingerprints, all that will stay. And it was kind of frustrating if I like a good shiny blade, but that's one thing about this knife that I noticed. Sharpening ability is this Spy27 steel is great. I've only really had to strop it. I've kind of rolled the edges a couple of times. I was cutting, what was it? I guess the vines from a vining plant that was kind of wrapped around steel trellis. So I may have cut into the steel trellis a little bit and rolled that edge, but I just kind of stropped it right out, and it was no big deal. So anyway, I'd say that's another thing. It rolls a little bit, but that's what pretty hard use. Now the last thing I'm going to say is this: the alignment. I've taken this knife apart, opened it up, didn't realize that it only had one washer. So as far as being smooth, that will only improve to a certain point. Now it has improved over the month that I've had this, and that's cool. It works. Like I said, it's a worker. It's not something I'm trying to show off. Like, hey, look how smooth my knife is. I've got other ones for that. But this one, like I said, I opened it up, noticed that it only had one washer. That was a bit of a surprise. But I tell you, this alignment, it improved a little bit at first, and then it kind of reverted back. You can only tighten it so much without throwing off the action. And I could probably make it looser, but the alignment would be worse. And I've used the tricks, the wad of paper and on the side when you tighten it up. I've done that. But whatever. It's that's one thing about this particular knife. I don't know what anyone else's, but this knife, I just can't really fix that alignment. It's perfectly functional. That's it is what it is. It's fine. But it kind of picks at me a little bit. A little bit of the OCD rears its ugly head. It bothers me a little bit sometimes. But as far as the, I think someone else might have a different experience with their particular knife. But yeah, I couldn't fix the alignment on this one, or the blade centering. But other than that, got good things to say about this Para 3 Spy27 steel. So anyway, that's my follow-up to the follow-up after 1 month. Thanks for watching.